The Boston Celtics are heading into a brand new era, and not just on the court. We've got a major shakeup happening behind the scenes with a fresh ownership group officially taking control. And for a team as storied and pressure-packed as the Celtics, this is no small thing. The NBA's Board of Governors gave unanimous approval to the group led by Bill Chisholm, who now becomes the primary governor of the franchise. And while Wyc Grousbeck and others will still be around in alternate roles, make no mistake, this is Chisholm's show now. What makes this change so intriguing is that it doesn't come in some down year when the team's just floating through the bottom of the standings. No, this ownership group is stepping in right after a championship-winning season, with the team coming off banner number 18. You'd think it'd be smooth sailing, but this transition hasn't been all glitter and champagne. One of the first major orders of business? Cutting salary. And that's where things start to get real. Let's be honest here. If you're spending $6 billion to buy an NBA franchise, you're not sitting on the sidelines while someone else calls the shots. That's why it was always a little puzzling to think Wyc would still be running the day-to-day for 3 more years. That setup never made sense, and clearly, it didn't sit right with the league or the group writing the checks. So now Chisholm and his partners, which include a laundry list of names and the financial muscle of 6th Street, are in control, and they've got a lot on their plate. They're inheriting a team with serious expectations and a very real problem: money. The Celtics were already dancing on the edge of the second apron, and with Tatum now injured, the door cracked open for a major reset. And this might actually be a blessing in disguise for the new ownership. Because if Tatum were healthy and the team still started offloading pieces like Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford, and Luke Kornet, fans would have immediately labeled the move as a money play, plain and simple. But with Tatum sidelined, the narrative becomes a little more palatable. Hey, we're not trying to tank, but we've got to be realistic. We're probably not contending this year anyway. It gives them the cover they need. You can strip things down, evaluate the depth, shed salary, and frame it as a strategic move for the future. But Boston fans? They don't have patience for half measures. Look around the city: Red Sox, Patriots, Bruins, even the Revolution. If you're not fully committed to winning, they'll sniff it out and turn on you quick. Just ask John Henry how warm that reception's been lately. The clock is ticking for this new regime. Even though the Grousbecks helped deliver 2 titles during their tenure, the Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce era, and now the Tatum, Brown era, the baton has been passed, and Boston's already looking ahead. The expectations haven't changed. If anything, they've gotten even higher. The fan base isn't going to tolerate excuses. They want rings. They want banners. So now the big question becomes, what does this team look like heading into the 25-26 season without Tatum? Well, that's where it gets interesting. Because while the Celtics aren't expected to be title favorites without their MVP candidate, this season could be a golden opportunity to figure out who's really part of the future. Let's talk about Neemias Queta. The big man from Portugal might be walking into the season with his biggest opportunity yet. He's no rookie. He's been around for a few years now, starting out with the Kings before getting more run last season in Boston. He's shown flashes. 7 feet tall, 245 pounds, active, efficient, plays with energy. He's not the most polished guy on the floor, but he's got upside. Think of him as a light version of Time Lord. Good rim protection, some mobility, raw but promising. He's had limited minutes. Last year, just under 14 per game, but managed to play in over 60 games. That's more than half his career total in one season. And now, with the departure of Porzingis, Horford aging out, and Kornet gone, Queta might be the guy getting the first crack at the starting job. Whether he sticks will depend on how much he's grown, especially on the defensive end. Joe Mazzulla needs reliability, someone who won't get lost in defensive rotations or miss assignments. But the team has time now to let him figure it out. There's no rush to throw money at another big when you can test your own guys. This is the season to develop, to really see what's in the cupboard. Hugo Gonzalez, the rookie. Can he be one of those glue guys who hits big shots and makes the right reads? Jordan Walsh. Year 3 is a pivotal year. He needs to show he belongs, not just on the Celtics, but in the league. Same with Baylor Shireman. He popped a little bit late last season and showed flashes in Summer League. Now it's time to find out if he's more than just a streaky shooter. The Celtics are throwing all their young talent into the fire. It's evaluation time. Who can hang? Who can contribute to winning basketball? This is not about raw stats anymore. It's about IQ, execution, and fit. Because when Tatum comes back and the team's ready to contend again, the front office needs to know who they can trust in a playoff rotation. That's what makes this season so important. It's not a lost year, it's an audit. And if you look around the league, this is becoming more common. You don't just trade assets for stars anymore unless you know your team is ready. Just look at what the Thunder did 2 years ago. Everyone was telling Sam Presti to cash in. You've got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You've got all these picks. Go get a star. But Presti waited. He wanted to see how his squad performed in the playoffs. And when it turned out they couldn't play Josh Giddey in crunch time, they moved him and made smarter, targeted additions like Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. Boom. Title. That's the blueprint now. And it's exactly what Brad Stevens and this new ownership group need to emulate. You've got your core in Tatum, Brown, and Derek White. Pritchard looks like he's earned his place. So what's next? Can Anthony Simons prove he belongs in that group? Let's not forget, Simons wasn't brought in as some centerpiece signing. He's here because the Celtics needed to move off Drew Holiday's contract, and Simons' expiring deal was the price of doing business. So no, he's not guaranteed minutes. He's not guaranteed a starting spot. And he's certainly not guaranteed to be here long-term. But here's the thing. He's playing for his next contract. That makes him dangerous. Simons has always been a high-volume scorer on bad teams. What he hasn't shown is whether he can contribute to a winning brand of basketball. Can he play defense? Can he make the right pass? Can he accept a role where he's not taking 15 shots a game? That's what teams are going to be watching. It's a tricky situation because, yes, Simons is making a lot of money this season, close to $30 million. But that doesn't mean the Celtics are obligated to start him. Look around the league. Bradley Beal made over $50 million last year and still came off the bench in some games for the Suns. In today's NBA, contract size doesn't always equal role. It's about impact. And let's not forget the financial reality. With the second apron looming, Boston doesn't have the flexibility to just go out and sign big names. They need some of these cheap young players to work out. They need a breakout from someone like Quetta or Shireman or Walsh. Otherwise, they'll be stuck with a top-heavy roster and no cap room to fix it. That's why this year is crucial. It's not about chasing wins at all costs. It's about building a sustainable future. And this all circles back to ownership. The pressure is on. You don't drop $7 billion on a franchise just to hit the luxury tax and flame out in the second round. You do it to raise banners. And the only way to do that under this new financial structure is to hit on your development projects. Find those under-the-radar guys who can contribute on a budget. That's how dynasties are built in the modern NBA. So yeah, maybe the Celtics aren't favorites heading into this season. Maybe they even miss the playoffs. But if they walk away knowing which players are real pieces moving forward and which ones need to be moved for something better, that's a win. That's a season worth watching. And for a fan base as hungry and unforgiving as Boston's, that clarity might be the only thing that buys this new ownership group a little time. One of the most fascinating subplots heading into this Celtics season isn't just about who's starting or who's developing. It's about how the rest of the league is moving around them and how Boston positions itself for the future. Take a step back and look at what's going on with restricted free agency this summer. It's exposing a massive shift in the league's ecosystem, and it's going to impact how teams like Boston build their rosters moving forward. We've seen guys like Josh Giddey, Jonathan Kuminga, Quentin Grimes, and Cam Thomas all sitting in a weird limbo. These are guys who in the past would have been hot commodities. They've all had stretches of real production. Cam dropping 40 on any given night, Kuminga exploding when the Warriors were shorthanded, Grimes playing meaningful minutes in Philadelphia, Giddey nearly averaging a triple-double. But here's the thing. None of them got paid like stars. None of them even got near what they were expecting. That tells you something. The middle class of the NBA, the guys who aren't superstars but aren't minimum salary role players either, is getting squeezed out. Teams aren't overpaying for potential anymore. They're not throwing $30 million at a guy who might turn the corner in year 5. The league is changing, and the Celtics are caught right in the middle of it. It makes you wonder, what would a guy like Derek White get right now if he were a free agent? He's one of the most impactful two-way guards in the league. Just helped deliver a title, plays the right way, defends, shoots, makes smart decisions. He's not flashy, but he wins. And even then, in this market, maybe he only gets $25 million per year. Because there are just so few teams with cap space, and the few that do have it aren't spending like they used to. That's the reality now. The second apron rules have changed everything. And this is exactly why the Celtics have to hit on internal development. You're not going to find many bargains on the open market anymore. If you want a solid contributor who doesn't break your cap, you've got to grow him yourself. You got to turn your 9th or 10th guy into someone who can play 20 meaningful minutes in the playoffs. You got to find the next Gabe Vincent or Caleb Martin, or better yet, the next Derek White before he becomes Derek White. Because once that value spikes, you're out of options. You either overpay or you lose him. That's where guys like Baylor Shireman become so important. Sure, he might be a second-round pick or an end-of-rotation guy right now, but the Celtics are desperate to see if there's more. If he can shoot the ball the way people think he can, if he can hold up defensively just enough to stay on the floor, then he's not just a project, he's a solution. The same goes for Jordan Walsh, who's heading into a make-or-break year. He's got the physical tools, but the decision-making and shot selection need to catch up. Boston can't afford to have him sitting on the bench for another season. If he's not making progress, he's likely done. Not just in Boston, but in the league. That might sound harsh, but that's the world we're in. There's no room for passengers. And when you've got one of the most expensive cores in the NBA, Tatum, Brown, and White all making big money, you simply can't carry guys who can't contribute. And let's circle back to Anthony Simons for a second, because this whole contract situation around him is also reflective of the NBA's shifting priorities. A couple years ago, a player like Simons, putting up big numbers on a rebuilding team, would have been viewed as a future star. He got that big extension from Portland, and people expected him to blossom into a primary or secondary option. But now, he's on an expiring deal, sent to Boston in a salary dump, and fighting for minutes on a team that didn't choose him. It's not that he can't play. Simons has undeniable offensive talent. He can shoot, he can score in bunches, and he's a great isolation player. But when it comes to team building, especially championship-level team building, those skills alone aren't enough anymore. You have to defend. You have to fit. You have to be able to play without the ball. If Simons wants to be more than a one-contract rental, he has to prove that he can impact winning. And that brings us to Joe Mazzulla. The head coach is going to have more on his plate this year than ever before. It's one thing to manage rotations and chemistry when your lineup is packed with veterans and all-stars. It's another to navigate a season full of youth, injuries, and unknowns. Mazzulla has to balance development with competitiveness. He has to keep the team hungry and engaged, even if they're hovering around .500 midway through the season. And most of all, he has to identify who's ready to contribute long-term. So buckle up. It's not going to be easy, but it might just be the most honest, revealing season we've seen in Boston in years. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The basketball world has been buzzing with speculation and anticipation as the Boston Celtics make decisive moves in a highly competitive market. Rumors have been circulating for weeks about the team's intentions to secure its position among the elite in the league, and insiders suggest that management has been working tirelessly behind the scenes to explore every available opportunity. The Celtics front office, known for its strategic maneuvering, appears determined to maintain a roster capable of contending at the highest level, and whispers from sources close to the organization indicate that a flurry of discussions with potential trade partners has been underway. Fans have been particularly excited about the possibility of marquee acquisitions that could dramatically alter the balance of power in the Eastern Conference. While nothing has been officially confirmed regarding specific player movements, the mere suggestion of aggressive activity has generated widespread speculation. Observers are connecting the dots between recent scouting reports, player performance trends, and the financial flexibility the Celtics possess attempting to predict how these elements might culminate in a blockbuster deal. The anticipation is tangible, with analysts debating the potential impact on team chemistry, style of play, and long-term championship aspirations. The chatter has transformed social media into a hive of conjecture, with every tweet, post, and article scrutinized for hidden clues. As the rumor mill churns, the excitement surrounding Boston's future continues to escalate, capturing the attention of fans and competitors alike, who are all keenly aware that a single strategic decision could shift the league's power dynamics overnight. The Celtics, clearly unwilling to remain passive, seem poised to redefine expectations and assert themselves decisively in the ongoing battle for basketball supremacy. Meanwhile, the announcement of NIKOLA JOKIC's arrival has only intensified the speculation, adding a new layer of intrigue to an already dynamic landscape. Although officially framed as a strategic acquisition, sources close to the matter suggest that the move was the culmination of months of careful negotiation, scouting, and calculated risk-taking by management. The prospect of integrating a player of JOKIC's caliber into a team like the Celtics has generated endless debate among pundits and fans alike, each dissecting potential on-court synergies and off-court adjustments. Conversations have ranged from how JOKIC's unique skill set might reshape offensive strategies to whether his presence could enhance defensive cohesion or challenge existing hierarchies within a locker room. Social media platforms are flooded with analyses, memes, and speculative lineups, reflecting the intense curiosity and excitement surrounding his addition. Some commentators argue that JOKIC's vision, passing ability, and scoring versatility could propel Boston to unprecedented heights, while others caution about the inherent challenges of integrating a superstar with a distinct playing style into an already established system. Behind the scenes, whispers suggest that negotiations were delicate, balancing contractual obligations, player preferences, and the subtle politics that govern team dynamics. The speculation extends beyond the Celtics, as rival franchises are reportedly adjusting their own strategies in response, fearful of being left behind in the rapidly evolving competitive landscape. Every subtle hint from coaching staff, training sessions, and preseason scrimmages is being scrutinized, feeding the rumor machine with endless material. As a result, the excitement surrounding JOKIC's arrival is not merely about his individual talents, but also about the broader narrative of how his presence could alter the very fabric of the league's power hierarchy, creating endless possibilities for fans, media, and competitors alike. The Celtics' rumored maneuvering in this vibrant market has sparked discussions that extend far beyond typical trade talk, touching on broader philosophical questions about team construction, leadership, and the evolving nature of basketball excellence. Analysts and insiders have been dissecting every conceivable scenario, considering the impact of potential moves on roster balance, salary cap flexibility, and even the intangible elements of team culture and cohesion. Some suggest that the team may pursue multiple complementary acquisitions to create a multifaceted squad capable of adapting to various competitive scenarios, while others argue that a singular, high-profile signing could serve as a symbolic statement of intent to the entire league. The rumor mill, fueled by cryptic statements from executives, player agents, and former players, has become a fertile ground for speculation, with each piece of information magnified, debated, and reframed in countless ways. Fan forums and sports networks are awash with predictions, imagined trade packages, and tactical breakdowns, reflecting the pervasive desire to understand how Boston might navigate this critical juncture. Even casual observers are drawn into the swirl of conjecture, attempting to parse subtle hints from press conferences, social media interactions, and training footage. Beyond the specifics of individual player acquisition, discussions increasingly focus on overarching strategy, examining how the Celtics might balance short-term competitiveness with long-term sustainability in an intensely competitive environment. The interplay of talent evaluation, timing, and negotiation strategy has become a central narrative, underscoring the complexity and high stakes of modern professional basketball. In this atmosphere of speculation, every rumor is amplified, And even minor developments can trigger waves of analysis, discussion, and counter-rumor, feeding a cycle that keeps fans, analysts, and insiders perpetually engaged. The result is a palpable sense of anticipation and tension, as the Celtics appear poised to make moves that could reshape the competitive landscape in profound and unexpected ways. Beyond the immediate implications for the Celtics, the surrounding buzz has intensified scrutiny on league-wide dynamics, particularly regarding the balance of power in the Eastern Conference and potential playoff scenarios. Experts have begun to model hypothetical outcomes based on various rumored moves, exploring how the addition of a player like NIKOLA JOKIĆ could influence matchups against traditional rivals, testing the limits of defensive schemes, and forcing opposing teams to reconsider roster construction strategies. Betting markets, fantasy leagues, and fan communities have all become entwined in this swirl of speculation, with every whisper treated as potential insight into the future of the league. Some suggest that Boston's proactive stance might trigger a domino effect, prompting other franchises to accelerate their own acquisition plans or reconsider long-term strategies. Observers debate how coaching adjustments, player rotation strategies, and leadership roles will evolve in response to potential changes, highlighting the interconnectedness of individual transactions and broader competitive dynamics. Analysts scrutinize practice footage, player interviews, and agent statements, attempting to detect signals of intent, while rival teams quietly assess Boston's emerging strategy to anticipate and counter potential advantages. Rumors have a tangible effect on public perception, influencing ticket sales, merchandise interest, and media coverage, which in turn pressures franchises to respond with both transparency and strategic subtlety. The evolving narrative underscores the symbiotic relationship between speculation and decision-making in professional sports, where perception and reality constantly inform one another. The intrigue surrounding Boston's market activity, amplified by the acquisition of a superstar like JOKIĆ, has effectively transformed off-season maneuvering into a near-theatrical spectacle, captivating audiences far beyond traditional fan bases. Each new rumor carries the weight of potential upheaval, keeping the league, media, and fans in a heightened state of alert, where expectations are recalibrated daily and certainty remains elusive. Amid the swirling rumors, the social media frenzy has become an indispensable lens through which fans and pundits alike experience the evolving story, transforming each speculation into a communal spectacle that blurs the line between reporting and imagination. Platforms are flooded with hashtags, fan-created graphics, and endless streams of commentary dissecting every conceivable angle of potential Celtics moves and Nikola Jokic's impact. Insider leaks, whether accurate or exaggerated, are magnified, creating a feedback loop that further fuels rumor propagation, often resulting in reinterpretations and second-order speculation that spreads like wildfire. Influencers and sports personalities contribute to this narrative ecosystem, offering both analysis and conjecture, while fan communities debate trade packages, coaching adjustments, and lineups with fervor, cultivating a sense of active participation in shaping the story. The intensity of this engagement reflects not only a desire to understand the technical implications of potential moves, but also a psychological investment in being part of the unfolding drama. Betting odds, fantasy sports projections, and team valuation discussions are all intertwined with this speculation, further solidifying the perception that every rumor carries material significance. Behind the scenes, agents, scouts, and front office personnel reportedly monitor these discussions closely, aware that fan sentiment, media pressure, and public perception can subtly influence negotiations and organizational strategy. In this environment, even minor hints from press conferences or training sessions are dissected for hidden meaning, contributing to an almost theatrical suspense surrounding Boston's future. The rumor-driven narrative effectively transforms each day of the off-season into a highly charged event, with every potential move analyzed, celebrated, or critiqued across multiple platforms, underscoring the intersection of sports, media, and collective imagination in shaping contemporary basketball culture. This constant cycle of speculation ensures that excitement, debate, and anticipation remain at a fever pitch, cementing the Celtics' market activity as one of the most compelling storylines in professional basketball. As the saga continues, the convergence of market activity, strategic planning, and superstar acquisitions has created a climate of expectation and uncertainty that has gripped fans, analysts, and league insiders alike. The Boston Celtics appear committed to leveraging their assets, reputation, and negotiation acumen to solidify their competitive positioning, while the addition of NIKOLA JOKIČ introduces an element of transformative potential that captivates both supporters and skeptics. Discussions increasingly center on the delicate balance between immediate success and sustainable development, exploring how leadership, team chemistry, and tactical innovation might converge in pursuit of championship aspirations. Each rumor, no matter how fleeting, is dissected for its potential to reveal broader strategic intentions, with analysts connecting a labyrinth of signals and countersignals to build coherent narratives out of incomplete information. Social media and traditional outlets amplify these narratives, creating a layered ecosystem in which speculation shapes perception and perception influences reality. The excitement is fueled not merely by the possibility of acquiring high-profile talent, but by the dramatic implications for competitive balance, playoff prospects, and the future trajectory of a franchise with historic ambitions. Rival teams are reportedly monitoring developments closely, adjusting their own strategies in anticipation of potential shifts in the league hierarchy, while fans remain on edge, parsing each headline and rumor for insight. The combination of market activity, media frenzy, and superstar intrigue has transformed the Celtics' offseason into a theater of rumor and possibility, ensuring that every new development is scrutinized, debated, and amplified with relentless intensity. In this environment, anticipation and speculation dominate, creating a narrative rich with tension, excitement, and endless possibilities as the Celtics navigate one of the most consequential periods in their storied history. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.